Hey, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, family. Happy Sunday. I don't know what happened to this live over here. Okay, there we go. Okay. What's going on? Family? Happy Sunday. First Sunday of October 5th, 2025. The year is moving right along, man. In just like any year, it is full of so many ups, so many downs, so many lefts, so many rights, right? So many challenges, so many pauses, so much gas, so much going, and so much stopping, so much resting. The days are getting shorter, right? Sun is going down earlier. It's getting cold outside, although yesterday was beautiful. I didn't spend much time outside, but today is also beautiful. I plan to get a little bit of sunlight today. I didn't get any sunlight yesterday other than through my window. Went out when the sun was already down. But today I plan to go out while the sun is out just a bit. Miss E with a Z, what's going on, sister? Peace and love. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week, Sunday Light, we are going to talk about building brotherhood through conflict and confrontation, which is absolutely necessary, right? There are people who are family, right? And we have conflicts and we have confrontations, and we have to learn how to get past that. All right. It's not always easy, not always easy at all. But I think that we have to do it. And so with that's what we're gonna talk about today, right? I have so many different examples of situations where we need to, situations where it's been done, and situations where it's very difficult and very challenging to do because of all the different dynamics that may have taken place prior. But we're gonna pray first. We're gonna pray. We're gonna burn some sage. All right, we're gonna give a prayer this Sunday. And as I light the sage, right, today's prayer is that we all recognize who our brothers are and our sisters. We all recognize who our family is. I pray that we have discernment. I pray that we understand that not all skin folk are kinfolk. Not everybody who looks like you has the same mindset as you. Not everyone who looks like you has the same heart as you. And it's important to differentiate. It's important to recognize those who look like you who don't have the same heart and mindset as you. And it's important to recognize those who look like you who do have the same heart and mindset as you, as well as recognizing those who may not look like you, right? Those who may not look like you, who may have your same mindset. But to put everyone in your life in a specific category that you need to have them in. And so that's what I pray for. I pray that we recognize who our family is. We recognize who our allies are. We recognize who our enemies are, even when those enemies look like us, even when those enemies live amongst us. I pray that we have the courage to stand firm on our beliefs, our principles, our morals. I pray that we have the strength to be able to separate from those who may look like us, who may not have our mindset, who may not have our best interests at heart. I pray that we remain pure in our movements and our actions towards unity, towards justice, towards freedom, and towards liberation. I pray that we do not let trivial differences, trivial conflicts impede us from moving forward as a unit. I pray that we recognize that within us, each, we have the possibility of wavering, of falling off, of not being our full selves, of maybe doing something that is harmful, detrimental to the unit. I pray that those around us have the strength and the conviction to lift us up and to correct us when we falter, to pull us back in when we step outside, when we may be a little confused or a little jaded, where pain may guide us as opposed to love. That is my prayer for this Sunday morning. That as brothers and as sisters, as men and as women, as black men and as black women, we identify those who are with us, those who want what we want in the world, and those who don't. and then we move accordingly at all times. With that, I give thanks, and I say, I share. Peace and love, family. Happy Sunday. Now, this topic of brotherhood. Sefu Senkofa, what's going on, my brother? Mona Love, what's going on, my love? Peace and love. Thanks for tuning in. So this Sunday, all right, heaven, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? How are you? So about brotherhood. Building brotherhood through conflict and confrontation. So first I want to start with the fact that building brotherhood, even without conflict and confrontation, is always is difficult, right? Just because the nature of humanity, the nature of humans, we don't always see things the same. We don't always agree. All right. Especially I think now in 2025 and in this generation where social media and information and things are just moving really, really, really fast. Some don't even have the desire to build brotherhood. So many people are isolating, right, themselves. Um, for so many different reasons, some from past traumas, some just from the lack of comfortability, the lack of self-assurance and self-esteem, right? They don't know how to or don't want to be in groups with other people, right? They don't want to have close relationships, intimate relationships with other people. So that alone makes it difficult. Then when you add in confrontation and conflict and things that may have caused pain, may have caused angst from either side, right? Both sides, very difficult. So, so I told you guys a few days ago I attended the talk show in the Bronx, X Factor, X the Unknown Factor, right, with brother Keith Gaffney at BronxNet TV, and there was a young sister, right. So the show is talking about manhood, and it's talking about, how the needs of young men, what it looks like when their basic needs are met, food, clothing, and shelter, and what it looks like when their basic needs are not met. And then we got into gang culture, we got into a lot of things, and one of the young sisters, I think she was 15 or 16, maybe. She might have been 14. She said her age, I can't remember, but mid-teens, right? 14, between 14 and 16. But she said something. She asked a question, right? So she had a situation where she mentioned I think her cousin killed her godbrother, right? Or godbrother killed the cousin, one way or the other. Somebody killed somebody, and they were both teenagers. She was really hurt that they was in gangs. And she spoke about how we just need to come together. We just need to get along. We just need to put our differences aside, and everybody just needs to come together, right? And she spoke with so much passion. She spoke with emotion, right? You can hear the emotion in her voice. You can feel the passion in her voice. And I then asked the question, right, to the group. Something that I mentioned the other day. I know a little bit about how we get there, but I don't have all of the answers. So I asked the question. The question was, how do we build brotherhood and camaraderie? How do we build this? How do we get past, right? Or how do we establish family unit when your godbrother killed my cousin, right? When your uncle killed my son, right? When your auntie, right, killed my sister who was pregnant. How do we move forward? All right. And one brother answered the question that we just gotta want to, which I agree. But wanting to is the basis. How do you do that? How do you get to from wanting to it actually happening? How do you get there? Right? How do you get there? Is obviously conversation. Obviously, I think, as I mentioned, recognizing the common enemy, recognizing that those who caused the pain, who caused the harm, were probably harmed themselves. So compassion, right? Processes of restorative justice, right? There's so many different ways to get there. It's not easy though at all, right? When those situations are real, right? Real conflicts, real pain, real lives were lost at the hands of another. So how do we come together? How do we still build brotherhood, right? In those situations where my best friend was killed by your nephew, right? Your son killed my daughter, right? How do we build brotherhood? Your son abused my daughter, raped my daughter, right? Your daughter, you, right? Like, how do we get there still? Very tough, very, very, very difficult, but it's possible, right? We know that all things are possible, right? Through the spirit of love, through the spirit of forgiveness, through the spirit of understanding, through the spirit of justice, through the spirit of liberation, right? All of these things become possible. Not easy, not simple at all, but possible. Now, the situation is not as serious, right? When it's conflict and confrontation. And so a few days ago, I don't know if you guys saw on social media, it wasn't a big thing at all, but it was a thing. So in Brooklyn, right, I have a dear brother, Omar Hardy. Omar Hardy is incredible brother, man, incredible artist, incredible business owner, industrialist, just an incredible brother I've known for over a decade. It's been nothing but love. I've watched the brother go through a couple of different things that extremely painful. Um, Omar is also, he and his family are the owners of the Slave One Theater and Slave Two, which is the Black Lady Theater. All right, they are the owners of that theater. And both theaters, right, Slave One first, and then Slave Two, more recently, were stolen unlawfully through deed fraud, right, deed theft, right, service papers, and that's in Brooklyn. If you guys know a little bit about the history, that history is rooted in Judge Phillips and his advocacy for Black people in Brooklyn, and how certain entities did not want to see him from decades ago, right? Like really build, like strive to build Black Wall Street, right, in Brooklyn, right? They did not want to see that, as they never want to see it, right? And so they trumped up charges, they kidnapped them off the street, right? All types of things were going on with that situation. And so on Wednesday, and even a few days prior, Omar, his team. So they have so right there on the Black Lady Theater has been unlawfully stolen, and because of that, they created a coalition of different organizations and individuals. Stop Deed Theft, right? They have stopdeedtheft.org, I think, or .com. You can check it out, look it up. But deed theft, deed fraud is something that's going on all throughout the country. It's going on a lot in Brooklyn, and it's predominantly affecting Black families, Black business owners, right? Black communities, Black neighborhoods. It's terrible. There's so many different. I think even Queen Afua had her home unlawfully, illegally stolen through deed fraud. Home that's been in her family for 60 years, right? Yeah, super tough thing, super challenging thing. And in that, there was situation that came up last week. So the Black Lady Theater, which I've done some things in, right? I've done some things. I've had some meetings there. We had some events there. We had some camps there. Black Lady Theater is incredible institution. Again, the family is incredible. They stole that, and it's renamed now Crown Hill Theater, right? And now the Crown Hill Theater, Black Lady Theater, right? There was an event being put on by brother 19 Keys. And 19 Keys, unbeknownst to him, didn't know the story behind the venue, right? He's looking for a venue in Brooklyn, connected with this place, connected with these people, booked the venue, right? Got this event coming up, he's putting it out there. Now, Omar becomes aware of this and tries to communicate with the brother, right? No responses. He tries to let him know. Then now Omar says, yo, listen, we're going to peaceful protest, right? He made a video, put a video out there, said, please reach out to me. Where you're doing your event is in a stolen property, right? And as someone who speaks so passionately about uniting Black people, uniting Black men, Omar said, yo, you should not have your event there, right? They had some communication. The event was still going on. Omar and his crew went out to protest, right? They went out to peaceful protest the event and the stolen property, right? That was on Wednesday. There was a little bit of conflict, all right? Nothing major, obviously, no fights, nothing crazy, just right differences and not even so much differences. 19 Keys had a mission, right? And he has to fulfill his mission, and Omar has a mission that he has to fulfill and stand up for in the face of all odds, in the face of all adversity. So that happened, right? I wasn't there, but seeing the footage, hearing some stories, there was some tension, of course. Like, this is something that's extremely emotional for Omar, whose family has been fighting this battle for years, right? fighting this battle for years, and not just him fighting this battle for himself and his own properties and his own family, but now fighting for so many people, so many black folks, black men and black women, black elders, right? Black business owners who are having their properties unlawfully stolen. Nathan Keys has a mission, right? He has an event to put on. He has a message to deliver and money to bring in and people to feed, people to take care of, right? So also passion, emotion. But again, it wasn't nothing crazy. And so fast forward, talk and say, hey, listen, let's actually sit down and communicate and let's talk. And that was Friday, and I was there for that. And it was, in my humble opinion, a beautiful show of like brotherhood and how we can build brotherhood through conflict and confrontation, right? Because there are sometimes when you have to address something that your brother has done or that your brother is doing that he may think is right, he may think is just, and you may feel different, and you have to address it. It's tough. It's tough. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's easier than others based on relationship dynamic, based on what the situation is. But a lot of times it's not easy at all because emotional, right? Things become emotional, and emotions are very real, and emotions are very valid, especially when you talk about a situation like this where you're someone who I admire and you're putting on an event, right? You're someone who I respect. You're someone who, I see you putting in work, but you're doing an event in my property that was stolen, right? Very emotional. Number one is emotional period because my property was stolen and I'm fighting, and Omar has been kidnapped off the street as well, right? Like he's been through a lot with this, like fighting for his property, fighting for his land, fighting for something that his family has built over decades, right? Very emotional. But Friday, 19 Keys, manager, team, they come. We meet at Nicholas Bookstore. Shout out to Monique and Nicholas BK. All right. I think that is, I want to say 1396 Fulton. All right, it's the address. Check it out. All right, you can look it up. It might be the wrong address, but you look up Nicholas BK, incredible cultural hub. More than just a bookstore, more than just a product store. It's a cultural hub where all types of great things happen, and we was able to meet there and walk down Fulton Street, right? Walk to the Slave One Theater and see the apartment buildings that are being built there, right? Unlawfully, right? And it was a beautiful conversation because, again, something that started as conflict, something that started as confrontation. You're doing something. I have to confront this. I have to address this. It's tension. Yes, it's conflict. But we all know conflict can be resolved through dialogue, through communication, through seeking to understand, through seeking to express oneself and seeking to understand on both sides, right? Both sides, you need understanding, but they can only be understanding through communication, right? And so brotherhood can be built, right? Can be built again through honest communication, right? 19 Keys said he watched Omar sent a documentary of the work that they've been doing, right? And the fight that they've been in, the Stop Deed, that fight that they've been in for years, right? He had a team following them around for 5 years, watching them do the work, watching them, all of the papers and all of the stuff, watched the documentary. He said it was extremely emotional. And if he would have knew that a couple of weeks prior, he wouldn't have done the event there, right? But he didn't know. He didn't know. Tickets sold, right? Is people coming? He still had to go forward, right? He felt he still had to go forward with the event, right? But through dialogue, right? That's how we can build brotherhood, through conflict and confrontation. Now, imagine Omar doesn't address the issue, right? Imagine Omar is like, oh man, right? And I think one of the questions that came up, Omar said, he said they asked him, do you protest every event, right? When they was there Wednesday protest, do you protest every event? He says, no, I don't protest every event. I can't protest every event, right? Because like, still have other businesses and still have things to do, right? But I protest the events that matter, the events that have real impact, the events that if we protest, like it can bring some attention, and the people who are doing the event, the organizations doing the event can help put the message out there even further, then yeah, I'm a protest, because especially when somebody who's speaking my language, someone who's speaking the language of the people, right? Like, right, unity and power and doing for self, and there's a common enemy, someone speaking that message, yeah, I'm gonna come and be like, yo, listen, like, you know what's going on? Do you understand what's happening? Right? I think that was extremely powerful that he did that. I think that was extremely courageous, because he could have not done that. right? Like the Keys is 1 million followers, right? He's all around the world doing things. Could be like, nah, that guy, nah, leave him alone. He's one of us. No, still confront the issue, right? And I'm so proud of him for doing it. And I told him that I'm so proud of you for doing that. And so I'm going to stand with you. And I did, right? And I continue to, right? But again, conflict. Conflict doesn't mean that we can't have brotherhood, right? A lot of times people want to avoid conflict. They want to avoid confrontation because they think it's going to get away. And sometimes it does get in the way of brotherhood, right? But I think that's only when brothers are too caught in their emotions and they don't want to hear the other side. They don't want to see from a different perspective, right? They don't want to embrace somebody who may be passionate about something that is opposite of where they are or what they're doing, right? And so that's what gets in the way of brotherhood, and that's what gets in the way too many times of brotherhood. But we as Black men have to be able to get past the small things, and not that this was a small thing at all, right? But confrontation, small compared to the big mission and the big objective, small thing to a giant, right? It's a giant issue here, right? This thing here, we got to confront it, but it doesn't mean we can't be brothers. It doesn't mean we can't build a relationship. It doesn't mean we can't unite. Again, especially if we have very similar messaging, if we have very similar energy, right? Very similar objectives and goals. Doesn't mean that we can't move forward, right? So yeah, extremely important. And I'm someone who, in my family, right, had to build brotherhood through conflict and confrontation, right? With my own biological brother, right, we had some differences. All right, my older brother, we had some differences, but through communication, right, through communication, through talking, through both expressing oneself. I felt like this, he felt like this, right? We talked, right? I apologize, he apologizes, and we're able to move forward. And now, from having a good relationship to a bad relationship to now a great relationship. Dialogue, communication, desire to understand. So going back to something again that I mentioned with when murder is in the picture, right, and physical harm is in the picture, right, and things like that is in the picture. The brother said the desire, you have to want to do it. Is the saying goes, easier said than done, but that's the first step. The desire to connect, the desire to build brotherhood, the desire to build community, the desire to forgive, the desire to move forward. That's the first step, and then you figure out how. You got to know why. Why do I want to move forward? Because this relationship is bigger than, because like this relationship, this connection is bigger than any emotion that I have. And my emotions are valid, yes. And I would love to move forward. I would love to build, yes. First step. Dialogue. I can see your perspective. This, and again, this is why, and something 19 Keys had mentioned, this is why storytelling is so important. His manager and I, Amici and I was talking about it. We was in Nicholas. It's the power of storytelling, right? Because storytelling gives perspective, right? Storytelling gives perspective, and understanding is born through storytelling, right? And so 19 again, he said, yo, this video, as I was moved nearly to tears, like watching all of the things that you guys have been through, watching the fight, like it's bigger than just, yo, we protest, you shouldn't be in there. That I said, now I got real context to the fight that's been going on, right? This is just the power of storytelling. This is why storytelling in media is extremely important, because you can communicate things that, like, with just your words, you may not be able to, right? With just your words, again, especially in tense situations, sometimes you might not be trying to hear the other person, but if you can sit and hear a story, watch the story, right? Watch the film, right? Listen to some audio, right? See photos. If you can sit and do all of those things, then you can be like, whoa, you gain some understanding, right? Like, damn, this is real, right? And so the first thing, again, desire to understand, desire to want to build a relationship, desire to want to move forward, desire to want to establish brotherhood, to want to build community. First step. Next step is, how do we get to the table and have some dialogue? All right, how do I present my perspective? How do I present my angle to you in a way that can foster understanding, right? In a way that can give you some understanding to why I feel like I feel, and why I'm moving the way I'm moving, and why I'm addressing the situation the way I'm addressing it, right? So again, it's not easy. It's not easy at all, man. Emotions, ego, right? Nobody can tell me nothing. You can't shut me down. What? Tell me I can't do what? Where? Who? Yeah, right. It's real, right? Like I got the shirt on. I'm a man, right? As a man, you feel like can nobody tell you nothing sometimes, right? Like especially you grown and you big and you got a platform and you doing things and like you popular. Like you might tell me what, but humility is key there, right? Humility there is key. Like recognizing that as great as you are, as powerful as you are, other people is just as great, right, and just as powerful, and they matter just like you matter. Right, as I like in the movie Juice, and even though they a bishop ain't stand on it, right? He said, "Yo, no one man above the crew." Right, so Raheem said, "No one man above the crew, no one man above the brotherhood." Right, and that's something that I've said for years. Right, like no one person rises above the conditions of the community, just as no one person should fall below the conditions of the community. We should all be able to take care of each other. Again, not easy at all, right? For so many different reasons, right? But like we here. We gotta be here. We gotta meet on a level. We have to meet on a level. We have to meet on a level, right? Because if we don't, you get like this and we get further and further away from each other, further and further away from each other. And if we know we have a common enemy, if we know that there is systemic impacts at play, systematic, right, oppression at play, to keep us like this, to keep us divided, to keep us separated, to keep us arguing, to keep us fighting and bickering, right? Then yeah, there's gonna be always some people who rise up, right, economically, right, like politically, and then there's always gonna be these people down here who suffer and struggle, right, like, and to no real fault of their own, right? But when we can come like this, it's like you rise, I rise, you rise, I rise. We help each other rise. We pour into the same vision, right? We pour into the same vision. We work in opposite spectrums to fulfill the same mission, right? You may be doing media, I may be doing engineering. You may be into science, right? I may be into food, but we understand how these things come together. We understand how these things, these aspects, these parcels are all part of the whole, right? It's part of the whole. It's part of the whole thing, the whole body, an organism, organ system, right? Systems. So systems matter, right? We want to say F the system. Yeah, F the system, but systems matter, right? So like we still have to build systems, right? Systems built by the people, for the people, built on love, built on truth, built on peace, built on freedom, built on justice, built on liberation, right? We still have to build systems, institutions, housing, health, wellness, education, economics and finances, spirituality, right? Like we still have to build systems of love, of union, of marriage, right? Companionship. Again, not easy at all. So many different perspectives, and this is also, I think, meditation always comes into play. Meditation is extremely important because when you meditate, you can see like, okay, I have my way, right? But it's my way in opposition of the way we need to move forward, right? Not my way or the highway. No, like, okay, I got my way, but it has my way. It may have served me, but is it serving the whole? And do I want to serve the whole? Like meditation brings all of that. Like, am I really committed? And do I really care about the whole thing? Or do I just want to do for self? And in essence, neither one is wrong, right? Like it comes with different consequences and repercussions, right? You want to do for your whole self, yourself only you and your family. Cool. Understand what that means though. Understand that means that you may not, when something happens, right? Because we know an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So when something happens to your family, right, you may not have the support that you want and need, right? Because you've alienated yourself from the whole, right? When you work with the whole, understand that you may not have the individual success that other people may have, and that you may have been conditioned to believe that you need and that you should have, right? Individualism is like, yeah, you are an individual, but you are a link in the chain. You are part of a whole. So your individual self is fueling the whole, right? The whole thing, not just I'm taking my piece of the pie, right? I like my brother Ray. He gives a perfect example of a pizza. Perfect example of a pizza, something that's completely circle, completely round, can be cut equally, right? We've seen it done before, but someone who only cares about what they want comes in and cuts the pizza from the middle in a square. They're like, I want this piece here like this. And now there's no way possible the rest of the pizza could be cut equally. There's no way possible after that. All right. Like, so understand how, like, what you want for yourself, it's not a bad thing, but it can be opposite of what's best for the whole. Can be opposite. It's not always opposite, right? But it can be. So this is when you tap in, like, okay, like, what are we doing? How do we go forward? Right? And again, it's not an easy thing at all. I will never say that. But I know that it's possible. And I know that it's necessary. 2025, right? Like, see the young brother hung from the tree. So many instances, hung from a tree. People didn't even tell his family he was dead. Then they told his family it was suicide. Killed himself. They said he had broken legs. Oh, he killed himself. Comes out, all his injuries consistent with homicide, with murder. None of them consistent with self-harm. There are people out there who hate you, who hate me, who don't want us to live, who don't want us to come together, who don't want our children to grow, don't want us to have children, right? So brotherhood, sisterhood, camaraderie is key, right? And we understand, overstand, and understand that it doesn't mean that we hate anybody. It doesn't mean that we're against anybody. It means that we're just 100% first for self. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to be able to be, like, self-preservation is the first law in nature. Like, preserve yourself. Again, not just as an individual, but as a unit. Preserve your unit. Preserve your family. Do what you need to do for your family. And then take care of the next family. Help 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 the next family. And before you know it, we all growing. And we all thriving as one unit. Right? Again, not easy. Necessary. We over I. Right? We over I. We before me. All right. Yes, you matter. Right. When we say that, when I say that, it doesn't mean that you don't matter. It doesn't mean that your goals, your dreams, your visions are not valid, are not important, are not welcome. It does not mean it at all. What it means is that have your dreams, have your goals, have your ambitions, and line them up with that of your people, right? With that of your family, that of your community, right? I remember even recently, actually, I read something. It said that certain groups of people, I think it was like wealthy people specifically, don't allow like their children to just pick any career path, right? Somebody, oh, that's messed up, that's foul, you're not letting people choose. There was a time when a child was created with a very specific purpose, right? And the child was like a seed, cultivated for this purpose, right? Like, this child is going to be our farmer. This child is going to be our mathematician. This child is going to be our healer. This child is going to be our warrior, right? This child is created for a purpose, very specific reason, right? Not just because. And so now you grow in a way that your family, your village, your community needs, right? And again, and this is where the world then, right, technology, social media, the world being so much more open now, influence, right, can influence your child. Oh, now you don't gotta, you can do your own thing, right? The army, this whole thing has been, we've been conditioned in such a bad way. Be all you can be. It's a beautiful thing, right? When you hear it, be all you can be. But to what extent? At the expense of what? Be all that I can be at the expense of all that we could be, we should be. Right? Like, concept. And it's something that I've said, right? Something my uncle used to say, born alone, die alone. And I understand it, right? You were born by yourself, right? Right? Even if you have a twin, you came out when you came out, right? And when you transition, you are transitioning by yourself. However, when you understand the connection, one, to your family, literally the blood connection, then the conscious connection, right? Not just to the people with you now on earth, in planet, your siblings, your parents, right? Uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, cousins, grandparents, right? Friends, right? Like, but that of your ancestors and that of your descendants, right? Yeah, born alone, die alone, but connected, linked forever, right? Linked forever as a unit, right? Deep understanding, again, not easy at all. Not easy at all, man. But again, possible. It's possible. Everything is possible. And yeah, that's pretty much that's what I wanted to share this morning, guys. Beautiful thing about this, right? We don't gotta go the whole hour, right? We get the message across. I think the message was across. Venus Catching, what's going on, sister? Oh man, I love when you comment. You say a lot. Compassionate communication, courage, courageous conversations. Right? I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your input. Appreciate your wisdom. Set food and cold, so that comes with a natural consciousness. All right. But right, let us all strive to in as many ways as we can to establish brotherhood and sisterhood and camaraderie. Right. If there are minor differences, if there are differences that can be confronted, right? If it's just different in like how we do things, not so much who we are, not a difference in like mindset, just small differences, right? Like, and sometimes, again, what's so powerful is that a lot of times we don't even recognize the differences. Like, unless somebody tells us, we don't recognize that we're doing something harmful until someone tells us. We don't recognize that something that we're doing may be causing harm or may be causing pain, right? Unless someone tells us, because a lot of leaders got tunnel vision, right? A lot of people in general got tunnel vision. Yo, I'm focused on what I'm focused on, right? And one thing that came up and said, yo, this is why it's important when you're doing events, right? In any place, your own city or another city, it's important to do diligence, right? Like, all right, like, but again, everybody doesn't have that time to do that, right? Nor know how to do it, right? You find a space, right? Most people aren't going to look into the history of the space, who owns the space, when was it acquired, how was it acquired, do a research, what's going on with this space. But that's a lesson. This was a teaching moment. Is that's something that we need to do, right? Because you never know when you're coming into a city, right? It could be your own city even, but you never know when you are coming into an event space, what's going on with that event space, what's going on with that venue, what's happening there, right? Anything attached to that, right? You don't know that. But again, this is one of the lessons that comes out of this situation. Do your due diligence when you are booking a venue to do an event, right? What's going on there? Who owns this, right? Not just like, and not even just who owns it, right? Because there was an owner he spoke with, right? Quote unquote owner, right? Booked the venue. What's going on with this? When was it acquired? Who was it acquired from, right? What's the history of this space, right? Not just the name of the venue, but the address, right? But yeah, man, that's our Sunday light, right? Building brotherhood through conflict and confrontation. Conflict and confrontation does not mean that we cannot have brotherhood. Does not mean that we cannot establish brotherhood. Doesn't mean that we cannot have unity. Doesn't mean that we cannot come together. Doesn't mean that we cannot move forward together. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that, as we know, every challenge is an opportunity, right? Every obstacle is an opportunity to build, to grow, to create something new. And I believe something new was created, right? Something stronger was built from this confrontation. So I give my brother courage. Omar, give 19 keys, respect. He came outside on Wednesday, right before his event. All right, I think I don't know, whatever time it was, he came outside. He came outside and talked to Omar, right, and the people protested, and it was some back and forth, but he came outside to talk. He didn't have to come outside. He was like, man, F those people out there. I'm doing an event, but he came outside to talk, and then he kept his word, and he came through Friday to Nicholas, right, to further the conversation, because he said, yo, I'm gonna do my thing, right, because my thing is paid for, it's done, right? I'm gonna do my thing, and then I'm gonna help you get your message out to the world. And he came Friday and he spoke, and they talked, and we walked through Brooklyn and we talked, and it's filmed and it's documented, and we'll see what they do with that footage, right? But he said he's gonna help him get his message to the world. And so again, love, big love to my brother Omar Hardy, right? Stop D Theft, right? Black Lady Theater, Slave One Theater. Shout out to that brother, him and his team, right? Working so passionately, working so diligently to address this issue. Again, not just his own family, his own property, but but for everyone else who is experiencing this. Again, so many people in Brooklyn, so many Black people in Brooklyn are experiencing this. Elder women. I'm watching videos the other night. I'm like, yo, like, so many people. So many people. It's like this. And it's something I just found out about the concept of deed theft, deed fraud just a few years ago when somebody was trying to tell me, a brother was trying to tell me I need to get into real estate. He's going into real estate like this. I'm like, yeah, I need to get into real estate. I understand it. And I'm starting to think about city planning and city development, neighborhood development, right? And things like that. And he's like, yeah, this is a way. And he's explaining to me, I'm like, yeah, it sounds easy, but it sounds fucked up, right? It sounds like it's predatory, right? Someone maybe can't pay some taxes, right? Someone maybe like, and then there's a lot of fraud, right? Omar said something. He said something that I didn't know, and I'm not in that realm yet, right? Like, but he said it's so easy to go down to the city clerk's office and change a deed. He said there's no laws really stopping it, right? Somebody, yo, this person I own it now, right? Fraudulent paperwork. He said it's so easy for people to do that, and that's what they've done. Right, so there needs to be legislation. There needs to be policy put in place, right? Laws to freaking protect homeowners, property owners, right? Because we know one thing we know is that there are elected officials, there are politicians who don't want to see thriving Black families, business owners, and communities, right? We also know that there are developers, real estate developers who have millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars, access to billions of dollars, who are greedy, who are corrupt, who also don't want to see Black folks, Black men, Black women, individual family owners, business owners, communities grow and thrive. We know that. We see history, right? Towns have been burnt down literally and bombed literally, right? Still going on to today. Nothing has changed, right? And this is why we need each other more than ever, right? Because more distractions, right? More distractions and increased effort to restrict us, right? So many of us from growing, from thriving, from building something substantial for our families, for our communities, for our people, right? But that's the show, guys. We're gonna burn some Palo Santo. All right, get into a meditation. All right, if you can, sit comfortably, sit or lay comfortably. If you're sitting, allow your feet to be planted firmly on the floor beneath you. Allow your back to be straightened by the chair behind you. Allow your arms to rest gently in your lap or by your side. Allow your head to lean forward so that your chin is in your chest. And allow your eyes to close ever so softly. And just allow yourself to breathe. Just become aware of your breathing. The rise and fall of your abdomen. Become aware of the steady beating of your heart. Become aware of all of the signals from your brain. And in this space of silence, in this space of stillness, see yourself as you are right now. Just the man or the woman that you are, exactly where you are in this moment. And then see yourself like a tree. Specifically, see the roots that are beneath you. that are connected to the other trees that are near you. See yourself as part of a whole. See your individual talents, see your individual skills, see your individual hopes, your individual dreams, and then see them in connection with those close to you, those who are connected to you. See how your dreams, how your skills, how your talents fit in with those dreams, those skills, those talents, with those around you. Whether it's your children, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your parents, whether it's your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, nephews, nieces, friends, co-workers, neighbors. See the endless possibility of unity. See the endless possibility of connecting. Understand the power that comes from connecting. Remember, like science, connection breeds more power, more strength, more impact. To take these moments to clearly envision how you may connect with those around you. What ventures can you go into together? What products can you create together? What can you build together? Is there a book you can write with your loved ones? Are there films you can make? Are there businesses you can start? See the endless possibility of shared passion, shared purpose. See all of the opportunities that are before you when you come together and put aside any petty differences, any petty grudges. Affirm in your mind, as great as I am greater when I am connected with my people. As great as I am greater when I am connected with my people. As great as I am greater when I am connected with my people. Affirm, as strong as I am stronger when I am in service to my people. As strong as I am stronger when I am in service to my people. As strong as I am stronger when I am in service to my people. Affirm, as powerful as I am even more powerful when I am united with my people. As powerful as I am even more powerful when I am united with my people. As powerful as I am even more powerful when I am united with my people. Know that you are loved. Know that you are cherished. Know that you are sacred and you are adored. You are stronger than you think. You are more powerful than you know. And you are greater than you could ever imagine. I love you. I love you. I love you. Ashe. When you're ready, you can slowly begin to open your eyes, wiggle your toes, move your fingers, give yourself a neck roll. Come back to the space. Thank you. Listen, guys, it's not easy, but it's possible. It's possible. Remember what you're here for. Remember who you are. Remember where you're going. Remember what you're made of. Remember, amongst your people, there is one common enemy. Be aware, be mindful, be strong in the face of all adversity. Look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday. Please do join us throughout the week, though, on SR Daily. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Peace.